What's up, guys? This is Jordan Haddock.
What's up? This is Anthony Colavito.
What's up, guys? This is Pat Senior.
What's up, everyone? This is Graham Tuck, and you're listening to the New Guys podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
I'm back. What it do, baby?
All right, so we're back. Hope y'all heard that soundbite we tried to just put in there. New Guys Season 2, bigger and better than ever before. You know how we do it here. Little hiatus, 2-week hiatus while Graham was moving into college. I thought I was going to be moving in too, but, things happen. So jumping right into it, we got the Bruins. Probably start with the most disappointing Boston sports team. Bruins, Graham and Jordan, why don't you guys take that? Because I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to
First of all, you're wrong. The Red Sox are easily the most disappointing
but I don't
Boston team
I
right
was
now.
going to say the Red Sox, but the Bruins were hyped up,
I mean, that's true. Y'all did beat my Canes, so I can't say much.
It seems like every year there's a discussion about the Bruins, like, ending their season too early. Obviously last year we got as far as possible and ended up not winning. But it's another disappointing end of the year. Our second loss against Tampa in the second round in the past 3 years, so that's even worse. But yeah, it just sucks and you don't want to make excuses, but just the hiatus that happened just killed the momentum we had. A lot of NHL analysts were saying, the Bruins looked like the team to beat, and when they came back, they were arguably one of the worst teams that returned in the bubble. And it was evident when we competed well against the Canes, we took care of business, but when you hit the Tampa Bay, they were just skating circles around us, and it was that final game, Game 5 was just if you were watching it, you could just tell in the double overtime they were going to score because the Bruins just looked so slow. They didn't look like they even wanted to be there, and I'm not saying they didn't, but what they portrayed on the ice there was just awful.
This one's gonna go.
I had that on replay. But yeah, there's news about injury. Pasternak was injured, and Corrali was injured. They were playing through it and stuff, but no excuses. It's another disappointing year, and they're running out of time. Krejci said it best in his final interview. He said, kind of just hit me that the core group, Bergeron, Chara, Marchand, Krejci is, only has a couple of years left. Some of us, only have 1 year left. So the door's closing, and it's just it sucks because this felt like a year that maybe we could grab another championship, but this stretch of like 2008 to like now of 12 years of Bergeron and Chara only winning one title, making it to 3, losing a Game 7 at home, blowing the Game 6 against the Blackhawks. It's been an extremely disappointing 12 years for them. And yeah, I don't know, Graham, if you want to give some outside perspective about how you feel, because I know usually Bruins fans are pretty harsh on their team, but what do you think about the future?
I think that for the Bruins, first of all, I don't know what their contracts look like, and I'll openly admit that. But I do know that they have a lot of, obviously they have a pretty good farm system because it's a very well-run organization. They'll have no shortage of talent for years to come. Obviously, it probably won't stack up to like Bergeron, Marchand, like you were saying, because it's just big shoes to fill.
Tough to do, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the thing that impressed me the most is the way that they were able to step up in Rask's absence and compete. Because myself, being a Hurricanes fan, I wrote it off when Rask opted out. I was like, all right, we got it in the bag. And then not only did y'all beat the life out of us in those games, but against the Bolts, like y'all competed. The Bruins were easily – they weren't out of pretty much any of the games, I don't believe. They were all pretty much close. Against
Game 3? No, Game 2 was a blowout, I think.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Yeah, Game 3.
That one was bad. But that's just because Halak had been playing every game. Like when you're in that kind of situation, kind of like Thatcher Demko and the guy for Colorado right now, I can't remember his name. I think it's Hutchinson. They're playing every game too. And so when you're, especially tonight, because we're recording this on a Friday and game 7 of Vegas and Vancouver is tonight, and Demko has to play a back-to-back after not having anybody fill in with him or fill in for him in a couple nights. That's going to be rough. When you're in a situation like that, like Haddock was, there's really not much you can do. But the Bruins played great in front of them at times. And I think that they can look forward to the future. I don't know that, it obviously won't be a dominant core as they were this year. But I think that, it's the Bruins. They'll be in the playoffs. They'll be a contending team, at least, maybe not cup contending, but they'll be fighting in the playoffs for years down the road. I don't think you can complain much. I know it's Boston sports, so we want to, championship or bust, but I think there's nothing to really complain about.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say on the Bruins, and we can transition to the better playoff team. But so Rask, that situation is going to just engulf the offseason with Boston media saying we still don't know the full story about why he left, but whether he even stays here or he gets moved or he retires or whatever. And the other big contract is Krug. That's the big question mark. He had an interview earlier, I think it was yesterday, and he kind of, it almost felt like a retirement from it's not, I'm not saying he's going to retire. I'm saying he felt like he was kind of like a goodbye to Boston. He was like, thank you guys for, doing this and doing that. I appreciate the media. You guys are always tough on me and blah, blah, blah. So it almost felt like he knows that, this is his last time in here. And I can't really blame, Sweeney if he doesn't sign him back, just because he looked pretty poor in the playoffs. He's not a great defender. He's more offense, and he didn't show his offense that much. That's going to be a hole that they need to fill. And, there's obviously other guys that are going to be expiring. And, I'm sure like you said, it's the Bruins. They'll go and replace guys, and they'll, get who they need to fill up the roster, and they'll be in the conversation. But, you hate to see 2 years in a row of, really dominance in the NHL just end in a second round exit and a game 7, Stanley Cup loss. You'd like to see at least, if we had won last year, it would have been like, look, we can't win every year. It's just the Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay had, revenge on their mind. You lose in the first round, you get swept by Columbus. That's as much motivation as you're going to get. So you had to expect Tampa was not going to just roll over. And, it happened 2 years ago when we won game 1. I think it was like a 62 score, and everyone was like, yo, we're going to beat Tampa. That was the team to beat.
I'm a bit sad. Actually, I'm lying. I'm quite devastated.
It's just sad. It's just sad.
Well, we'll have more talk on Bruins and hockey overall once maybe the Cup, Stanley Cup playoffs, start to finish and off season starts to come up. And we'll talk about that stuff. But we can move on to the better team. Not Boston lately though.
Celtics.
Yep.
Before we get into basketball, before we get into the NBA, right? A while back during the first round of the Western Conference playoffs, Jordan and I made a bet. You guys knew I was very high on the Portland Trail Blazers. I thought they were going to go in and take care of business against the Lakers. And I was so confident in them that I put my Celtics manhood on the line.
Celtics pride.
And I said, there you go. I said, if the Lakers win this series, I will wear a Lakers jersey.
Goodbye. You're an idiot.
I am not doing this willingly. I'm a man of my word. I have a set of balls. I did it.
That's respect.
So there's that.
Yep.
So
let's get into the Celtics, though, because I got a lot to say.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say, Pat?
Basically, Anthony's an idiot. That's why he's wearing a Lakers jersey.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean,
Game time was running out. That's all.
Do you even realize how fucking stupid you truly are, you dumb fucking bitch? You know what I mean?
First one of the season. First one of the season.
Bro,
I'm glad it was me.
I want to say one thing on the Dame situation. That was crazy. That the hype around. I don't want to say too much on this, but just the hype around Dame. And I know he's a great player, and I've admitted it before that I rep my guy Russ, as you can see, but Dame has him beat right now. But just the fact that people were like,
whoa. Did you just say that?
Oh, I said that before.
What?
Jordan admitted that Russell Westbrook isn't as good as Damian Lillard right now?
Oh, yeah, right now?
Book it. Clip it.
Clip that.
Well, if I said Russ was better, I would just look stupid. You can't be doing that. I'm not Skip Bayless. But yeah, but the hype around Dame, I mean, it was crazy. The one win and people were like, he might be LeBron.
That was their
in the
worst
first
mistake,
round.
beating LeBron. That was their biggest mistake.
It woke him up.
LeBron
I'm gonna
doesn't
be
lose
real.
in the
I was
first
only
round.
saying that the Blazers were gonna win the series. Like after that first game, I had a feeling that it wasn't. I'm like, all right, it's not over. It's still LeBron we're talking about. But I only said it because my brother's a big Lakers fan, and I wanted to
That's fair. That's fair.
I wanted to annoy him.
Yeah.
That's all.
But move on to the Celtics.
Yeah, getting into the second round here. Celtics had a big chance to go up 3-0 last night. Game-winning dunk, 0.5 seconds left. OG Anunoby hits a stupid wide-open shot because I think Jaylen Brown was screened on by Gasol. I saw a picture on Twitter a few minutes ago. Marcus Smart called out the whole thing, but nobody listened to him. And OG Anunoby's wide open, hits the three. Raptors are only down 2-1 now. So that makes Game 4 coming up tomorrow definitely a must-win for the Celtics.
Yep. And by the time this goes up, I don't know when this will exactly go up, but Game 4 will probably be over. So we're recording this Friday afternoon. So last night was the Game 3. So we'll see what happens. But
I'm sticking with Celtics in 6, I'll say.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
I mean, no matter really what happens on Saturday, I think people got a false. I mean, we were theoretically a half a second away from ending the series. The Raptors aren't coming back if you go up 3-0. Right. But people really started to underestimate how good the Raptors. I mean, they were better than us in the regular season, and their roster, Kyle Lowry and Siakam held their own the entire year. Right. I think people got a false sense of hope of we're just going to run through every team. If we double swept into the Eastern Conference Finals, I almost think it would be worse just because you would have not won a game or not lost a game in weeks, and going in and then facing whether it be Miami or Milwaukee, whoever wins that series.
Miami.
Two very tough teams.
Yeah, and it's almost I think people say it, but you've heard the saying of it's better to it's like a splash of cold water. Wake yourself up. You're not invincible. Teams are going to beat you if you fuck up like Jaylen Brown did, or whoever. I don't know. It was him or Tatum, whichever one got stuck.
I'll put it on Brad.
I couldn't even say it was Jaylen Brown because he did everything he was supposed to. They were in his own defense, and he did what he could. I think what really screwed us last night was the turnovers. We had way too many turnovers, and our defense. They're really proving why they're top tier in the league.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown's turning into a defensive machine. I think in Game 2 he had a couple of blocks, couple of steals, and when you're able to turn the ball over like that, we just can't. It always ends up being Marcus Smart just chucking up a three for the hell of it, and you can't afford to miss shots like that. Like we've discussed weeks ago, Marcus Smart can shoot us out of games, like he often does. But like we saw in Game 2, when he's on, he's on. Yeah. And this game, I feel like the series can go to 7 games, just because if Marcus Smart never went off for 5 3-pointers in a row, we would have never won Game 2. Yep. And if OG never hit that lucky-ass 3-pointer with 0.5 seconds to go, they never would have won that game. So it's this. I still feel like the series is up for grabs, but I would still lean towards more of the Celtics just because of that dominating Game 1 win.
Yeah.
I think the Celtics are just a much more talented team. The Raptors, great regular season team. You often say that about teams like them. The Bucks, the Hawks a couple of years ago, the Rockets. But the Raptors specifically, they don't really have anybody who can score at will in the half court like a Kemba Walker or a Jason Tatum. Siakam's good, but he always does the one spin move. That's his go-to. If you watch him, that's literally all he does when he gets into the post. Just spin move, throw up a little hook shot, and miss. Kyle Lowry had a great game, but again, those guys really, if you throw let's say Smart or Jaylen on Kyle Lowry, it kind of counteracts his game of trying to get into the paint. Uses, as one of the commentators said last night, uses assets to make some room down there. If you take that away, I really don't think the series is going to go more than 6 games. The Raptors might shoot well one night, maybe they'll win a game again, but I really think the Celtics are going to win it in 5 or 6.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned Lowry, I didn't even know he played 47 minutes and he only sat 1. last night, game 3.
Yeah, I don't remember him sitting like at all, actually.
And I mean, that really shows Nick Nurse, like he knew that. I mean, and most coaches do. It's not anything to say like Nick Nurse is some, anomaly, but down 2-0 to the arguably the best team in the East. If you lose this game, it's over. And he threw Kyle Lowry out there and said, go play the whole game pretty much. And kudos to Kyle Lowry. But, the Raptors, the first half was, we're up 10 at half. I mean, it was really all Boston, I think. We lost the game in the second half, which happens a lot with us. But, the Raptors shooting above 50% from 3. The OG shot, I mean, we talked about it in our chat. You let that shot happen. If you said you run that play 10 more times, I'm letting that play go 10 more times. I mean, the fact that Lowry, a 6'1", 6'2" point guard, was able to throw the ball over a 7-5 taco fall into the corner and have it perfectly land in OG's hands and him get it up before half a second expires. I mean, it's just ridiculous that even occurred. But you can't really go back and say what would you have done different? I mean, if you have Brown go over there, maybe it frees Gasol up and Lowry lobs one up and Gasol dunks it and it's tied. But it's hard to look back and be like, there was something that really was that you could have done different.
I would have run man there, I think. But anyway, moving on from the Celtics, we probably want to get into our NBA Finals predictions. A little early, but I think we all have a pretty clear-cut idea. It's going to be either the Clippers or Lakers, probably versus hopefully the Celtics or the Bucks, I'd say. Actually, maybe Miami, but I see the Celtics coming out of the East for sure. I think the Clippers are the clear-cut favorites in the West. At the end of the day, the Lakers just don't really match up with them. They're not as deep, not as talented. So I'll go Clippers and Celtics. If one of y'all wants to go.
That's bold. I'd probably take see, the thing with the Lakers is that they have something that nobody else has, which is Anthony Davis. And I have been notorious for my Anthony Davis slander on this podcast. But I think that it's just nobody can guard him, especially not the Rockets. I think that's going to be comical. I know that he didn't play super well the last couple times they played, but it's just a whole different scenario now that it's in the playoffs and 4 wins, they get to the conference finals. I think it's completely different now. And I really hope that the Lakers do end up in the finals, at least either the Lakers or the Clippers. I think that it would be sad for the NBA, for this whole bubble to have played out, them to work so hard to get to this point and then not have 2 of the best teams in the league in the finals. Like if Miami makes it, I think it'd be fun to watch, but I think it would be disappointing because they just don't match up as well against other teams unless they just shoot the lights out and pull a Golden State. But I think that the way that it looks right now, obviously the Celtics are up 2-1 on the Raptors right now. So I think the Celtics come out of that one. Heat, Bucks, anything can really happen there. I think it's probably going to end up being Lakers and Celtics, but Clippers is interchangeable. I just don't see them guarding Anthony Davis super well. I think he can kick it into another gear, get to the finals, and then once he gets there, I'd probably take the Lakers in 5 or 6 over the Celtics, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Pat and say Clips Celtics. I think I've held that for at least before the playoffs started. I think the Clippers are the best team in the West. I know they, started off kind of slow against the Mavs, but Kawhi's turned it on. They just dismantled the Nuggets last night. I mean, it wasn't even close. I think it was like a 20-point win. And it's just, I think the Nuggets are – I don't think they're a fake contender because I think they have enough talent with Jokic and Jamal. Just Jamal showed why, he should be considered a top point guard. But they just – they don't have that.
They said they could bring his girlfriend in. He just went crazy. They said they could bring his girlfriend. He just went crazy.
Say I don't agree with the part about me being horny all hours of the day. Few hours in the day, yes, but not all hours of the day. I digress.
When did he say that?
I know. I said that too.
Is he even allowed to say that?
I know.
First network television.
Here's my thing with the Nuggets, Jordan. I don't want to cut you off, but here's my thing with the Nuggets is that you look at every team that's won a title, like I'd say maybe forever. Nearly all of them have a starting center who can play defense, and Nikola Jokic cannot play defense.
Yeah.
Not only that, but teams can't win playing through centers anymore. You're not going to win with a center as your best player. So
yeah,
the Nuggets
tough.
have to change something, sign somebody maybe, like get rid of Jokic. They have to, I think, maybe have Jamal Murray be the main guy, but he's too inconsistent. So I think they're really caught in a limbo where they're not good enough to beat the top teams, and they're good enough to beat some of the lower tier playoff teams, and they're always going to be like a easy to like moderately difficult second round exit. I really don't think they're going to go any farther with the current roster they have.
I agree that I mean, even in general, you don't see teams, like you said, with their best player being the center. I mean, aside from Shaq and like Hakeem and obviously like Kareem, but those are like all-time greats.
Not anymore,
Yeah. So I agree with you in that sense. I don't necessarily think they should move on from Jokic, but they've got to get – I think they've got to get wing defenders aplenty on that team because, like you said, once that defender gets beat, Jokic is not much help down low. They had like a play last night where Pat Bev beat Jamal Murray right at half court and ran down and just like Jokic like lost. Like he can't even – it's just really sad, honestly, because he just –
I'm watching that right now, actually.
Yeah, it's
crazy. Draymond pointed it out at halftime. I was watching.
Yeah, I was looking at it right now.
Yeah. Go back to the Nuggets. I don't think they'll compete with the Clippers. I think the Clippers can take on the Lakers and go toe to toe. I agree with you, Graham. I'm a huge AD fan, so you know that I think he, is easily the best big man in the league and is, an MVP candidate. And so it's going to be tough to stop. One thing I'll say about the Rockets, though, is that the one advantage they have is that they can yank AD out of the paint with PJ Tucker having to, being able to shout threes. So the paint protection isn't as good there. So, Russell Westbrook and Harden might be able to open the game up. But defensively, I remember the last time they played, the analysts were saying AD's got to be better. He's got to put up a 30 and 15 game, really every night, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You've got PJ Tucker who's, 6'7", 6'8". It's like Grant Williams really trying to rebound over you. It's like, there's no excuse there. He's got to average, 15 rebounds during the series, and he's going to be the game changer. If he doesn't perform, good luck, because they have guys who can try to slow down LeBron. They've got Robert Covington, who's known as a pretty good defender. But yeah, I'll go Lakers, advancing, even though I love, the Rockets. But I think Clips will have their number, and I think it'll be Clips Celtics, and I have Celtics in 7 in the finals. But that'll be a good series if it does happen. Yeah.
I like to hear that, but it's really tough because you guys really hit all the points. Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. I just have that gut feeling that Kawhi is just going to be on his bullshit. Like, he's going to be doing his thing, and I feel like that he can just completely take over that game, and that's why I want to lean towards the Clippers. But on the other side of that, LeBron's legacy is really, really on the line this year, just because he's finally got that other all-star in Anthony Davis, who I think should have won Defensive Player of the Year just because of how absolutely nasty he's been. And LeBron, I think, knows in the back of his head that if he doesn't win the championship this year, his stock is just going to go down when it comes to the greatest players of all time. So I'm just going to say Celtics versus Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Is not
I mean, you can't be wrong there.
I can't be wrong there, but for the hell of it, just because I feel like LeBron's got a lot on the line this year, I'm going to say Celtics-Lakers in the finals.
You're right about his legacy because, MJ played with great players, but some would argue AD is a better basketball player than Scottie Pippen was. Not a better career, but that AD
Giannis is a Scottie Pippen, so.
But LeBron loses here, especially if he doesn't make it to the finals. That GOAT argument really should be thrown out the window because, if he can't win with that's 2 top 5 players in the league right there, and he can't get to the beat a Celtics team or beat a Raptors team that doesn't have that top 5 player, that's pretty bad. And like you said, LeBron's turned it on. He started pretty slow in the Trailblazers series, but he ended up eating along the way, and just I think people are underestimating how it's still playoff LeBron. We haven't seen it in a while because he didn't make it last year, but people got to watch out, I think. But you're right about Kawhi. I think that right now he's the best player in the league. He's pretty much making everything. He's modern day MJ, as close as you're going to get. So, but yeah, you make good points about LeBron. It's going to be interesting.
All right, that's all we got on NBA.
And now for everyone's favorite segment.
Woo! It's showtime! Woo!
Okay.
I can only mean one thing.
Mm-hmm.
What does that
Go
mean?
ahead, Anthony. I'll mute my mic. Go ahead.
Anthony's wrestling segment.
All right, so I've been keeping up with it the last 2 weeks. I'm definitely watching AEW on Wednesdays. I'm doing my bullshit on Raw and SmackDown. It's definitely going to get a lot more interesting because Roman Reigns just came back. And he's a heel, which is something that fans have been wanting for years. They don't want him to be that babyface character that's shoved down their throats. You'd be like, here, like him. I wasn't a fan of Roman Reigns, but I want to be a fan of heel Roman Reigns. But the fact that he kind of ruined Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, in the process is what's bothering me. I don't think Bray's really going to compete for the title. They wasted no time putting the Universal Championship on Roman just because a week after SummerSlam they had another pay-per-view which was built around Roman Reigns to put that belt on him because there was really nothing else going on. Everyone knew what was going to happen, and it was really not worth watching. And he's paired with Paul Heyman now, which I think is absolutely fucking genius. Because I think Paul Heyman is the greatest manager ever. I think he's a top 5 talker in wrestling history in terms of his mic skills and the way he can back up his client or whatever. He's the advocate. I don't know what I'm saying. And there's a big question mark on Brock Lesnar right now. I would love to. I think my brother said something about a superstars shakeup, something like that happening, which is when the guys move from brand to brand. I think it could be interesting if Brock Lesnar re-signs because he's currently a free agent right now. Nobody knows where Brock Lesnar is going to go. No one knows what his next move is, whether he goes back to the UFC, whether he goes to Bellator, does this, that, blah, blah, blah. And I think it would be interesting to see Brock Lesnar go to SmackDown and fight Roman Reigns for it. And we know that Roman Reigns isn't the best talker. He's gotten better over the years. You can give him that. But Paul Heyman is going to be the mouth for him, and I think he's going to put up a really good fight as a champion. But that's really all I got. I'm kind of mad that they put the belt on Bray finally. He was going to finally get that long-term run, and then he just loses it the next week. That didn't sit well with me, just because I'm a big Bray Wyatt fan. I wrote a whole article about him. But that's really all I got for wrestling right now. It's just going to be really interesting to see where Brock Lesnar goes and if he resigns. I'd like to see him in AEW, personally. I think that would pull a lot of people in.
Good job, Anthony, as always. And now, what we've all been waiting for, what I've been waiting for a long time, personally, since about June 28th or so, Cam Newton has officially been named the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots. Graham.
I love what I'm seeing. I love what's going on right now. This is what it's all about. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. This is exactly, I don't mean to sound like Cat Williams, but this is exactly what I've been waiting for.
Let me tell you, actually, why don't you guys give your thoughts? I want to hear what y'all think because I'm ecstatic about it.
I think we are all in agreement that we wanted Newton over Stidham, right?
Over Stidham, of course.
Yep. I like the move. I mean, we all like it, obviously.
Happy, and I don't care. I don't care.
A lot of people
care. Graham, hit it.
Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Still don't care. I don't care. I don't.
All right.
I think a lot of people thought it was kind of inevitable, but like the official Belichick stamp of approval is what everyone's waiting for. I think it's crazy. If you told, Patriots fans last year in February after we, lost, Tom Brady's not going to be the quarterback. Cam Newton's going to come in. He's going to start. People would be like, what the hell are you talking about? And it's crazy. Like we just transitioned from like a dynasty, 20 years with Tom Brady, and we move into a former MVP candidate who knows what he's going to give us. He's such a wild card right now. But I think he's going to add some, dynamic play without a doubt. And a lot of people say Stidham's injury that he had a couple weeks ago was, or a week ago slowed him down and he would have won the starting job. And I don't buy any of that. I think why would you sign Cam Newton if you weren't planning on, having him start? And people can say, his MVP season was 2015 and he, hasn't played good in the past, but his last full season where he was fully healthy was a pretty good season. It was under 10 picks. I think it was like 23, 24 touchdowns on a pretty bad Carolina team. I mean, he hasn't had help in the wide receiver area. He doesn't get much help here either.
He had Ted Ginn. What are you talking about?
Forgot All-Star Ted Ginn. He really helped him out. But if he can just repeat that, honestly, it at least gives us a chance. No one's expecting us to go, win 12 games or 13 games, but just being able to compete and maybe get a playoff spot and maybe get, an attempt at getting a Super Bowl appearance, it's high hopes, but I think he gives us more, competitive ability than Jarrett Stidham.
I think the ceiling for us with Cam Newton is considerably higher in the regular season than it is compared to Jarrett Stidham. Playoffs, I don't think it makes much of a difference because the way that this year is going to work is that unless something miraculous happens, we're going to have to face either the Chiefs or the Ravens in the divisional round. And that's just if you think that anyone other than the Chiefs and the Ravens are going to be in the AFC Championship this year, I'm sorry, there's something wrong with you. Like there's nothing that you can say that will convince me otherwise. They're just dominant. But I do think that Jarrett Stidham is not going to win a playoff game. There's no way. There's no way that he wins a playoff game, presumably on the road, if he gets put in that situation. I mean, home field advantage is different from what it's been in the past, considering that we probably won't have fans at that point in the season. But it's just there's a whole lot more on the line. Cam's been there. He's succeeded in that situation, and I trust him a whole lot more. I think that we get into the divisional round and take an L at that point with Cam. That's what I think is going to go on this season. But I just there's no argument that our ceiling is lower with Cam Newton than it is with Jarrett Stidham. There's absolutely no argument for it. And
for this season,
I think,
or for like in general?
For this season. For this season. In general, I think it's a little bit different. But Stidham is under contract past this season. Cam Newton is not. I think we cross that bridge when we get to it. And I like the move. All in all, I like the move.
Yeah. Well,
Anthony?
No, go ahead, Anthony.
I'm just really upset that we didn't get the quarterback battle that I really been hyping up. Because I thought they were just going to go at it every day in practice. And they kind of did, but it really didn't come down to the wire. Once Stidham went down, I had the feeling Cam starting, which I'm perfectly fine with. I honestly don't know who I would have preferred, but I was more towards the Cam side than Stidham. But I would tell people Stidham's going to be the starter and he's going to light it up this year just to see what they would say and think I'm on some sort of drugs. But I don't know. Like Graham said, I can't see us getting past the divisional. A team like Kansas City or a Baltimore, they're just too overpowered right now. They have so much talent around them that I don't think we can really match up against. But if we got to that divisional game, I would be perfectly fine with that just because I see everyone – really has low expectations for the Pats right now. I know I follow All Sports News on Instagram, and they just shit on the Pats every year in the power rankings. I think they put him at 16 this year.
He's a Patriots fan.
I think he is, yeah.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's revealed it before. That's why I was surprised. Yeah.
He's from like New
York.
Going
8-8, and he has them. He has Pittsburgh above us, which I personally can't say. He has Indianapolis above us, like 2 spots. I think he has Pittsburgh in the top 10. If I'm not mistaken.
I like Pittsburgh. Depends on how Roethlisberger is, but yeah, keep going.
I don't think they have. I just don't think Pittsburgh's going to be it this year.
Yeah.
They'll obviously finish, I think, 3rd in the North. I think Cleveland and Baltimore will obviously finish ahead of them. But I really want to see New England get to the playoffs and at least a divisional round. If we win that divisional round playoff, very unlikely, then fan-fucking-tastic. Then I'm okay with that. The further we go, that's the better. But Cam's a starter. I don't know what the wide receiver situation is looking like right now. We just cut Sanu, which I think was a shock to a few people. But I saw shit that was coming up. That they were like, "Oh, be ready for Sanu to get cut." I'm like, "Okay, I'll be ready for Sanu to get cut," and then he got cut. But that's honestly what I'm worried about this year is the rest of the offense because I feel like Cam can really play well. I'm not saying he's going to have a 2015 Cam Newton season. That 14 and a 15-1 season Super Bowl run, but I'm just really worried about this wide receiver core. There's only so much that Julian Edelman can do because we saw it last year when we had Gronk 2 years ago. He was getting the double team, and that allowed for Edelman to win Super Bowl MVP because I think he's one of the best route runners in the league, and I think he's one of the toughest receivers in the league. Just because the way he gets knocked around and the way he can just shake a man real quick pick up a quick first down. I don't think anyone really does it better like Edelman. And, I mean, that might be a little bit biased because Julian Edelman is my favorite football player / athlete ever. It's just going to be tough to watch the offense this year, depending on how defense is scheme against Julian Edelman. Because if he gets doubled, then it's going to be fun to watch, just because I think Cam's going to be doing his thing, running around.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thoughts. I kind of agree with what most of you guys said. Definitely, if we're looking to the future, the whole signing of Cam really didn't make any sense, because why wouldn't you start, like your young quarterback, young promising quarterback, get him that experience? But that kind of tells me that obviously Belichick and the Patriots aren't sold on Stidham yet. So when I look at this 2020 Patriots team, I look at what I think is probably still a top 10 defense, probably top 12 defense. Obviously, I think probably top 3 secondary, without a doubt. We've retained most of those guys, and not many have opted out. The run game concerns me, just because I believe Damian Harris went down, and he might not even play week 1. The O-line's going to get a little boost from having David Andrews back, obviously, but the run game and the receiving corps, how they perform, like Anthony was saying, is really going to determine how far this team's going to go. Because we've seen Cam Newton in Carolina without any receiving options whatsoever, really without any run game, because he really only played, I think, 1 healthy season with McCaffrey, maybe not even. So if the run game can give him some help, we saw last year Tom Brady didn't have any help in the run game, and we suffered, obviously, because of it. If we have no run game, we don't have anybody, with the exception of Julian Edelman getting open, this team's going to struggle, maybe go 8-8 or something. But a lot of people aren't really picking this team to make the playoffs. So like you guys said, I think a divisional win, or a divisional round appearance even, maybe a wild card win, would be a success for this team, given all the changes they've gone through, personnel-wise, culture-wise. This is just a defining year, I think, for a lot of the guys who remain left. Definitely for Cam Newton, he'll come out with something to prove. So I'm hoping we go like 11-5 or something like that. Make some noise in the playoffs a little bit. I'm not expecting a Super Bowl run, but I love that. Yeah, but it's not going to happen this year. So just going to stay positive, support Cam, support the team, and see what happens.
Now, before we wrap up the Pats, like we did with the NBA Finals, I want to go around. I want each of you guys to give me a ceiling and a floor for this team. So I'm going to go first. I definitely think the floor is 9-7. I can't see us just sitting at 500 or below 500. I think we're definitely going to be over 500 this year. And I say that the best we are going to do is 11-5, depending on if everything goes according to plan. Because I can't even say we're definitely going to lose to Seattle anymore, because there's going to be no fans. I thought that was definitely going to swing it, but maybe we'll take a look. We'll probably take a loss to Seattle, definitely Kansas City, Baltimore. That's why I think if everyone stays healthy, everyone plays to the best of their ability, then we'll go 11-5.
I gotta slightly disagree with you. I think our floor is like 7-8.
7-8.
Sorry, 8-8.
7-9. Okay.
Not 7-8. 8-8. I think our floor is 500, and I think our ceiling is maybe, I say 11 wins is probably correct. But one thing I'll say is that I can find 8 losses on that schedule pretty easily.
Yeah.
And it's such a, it depends on what Cam Newton we get. If we get that, and you could say that about any quarterback, but if we get the Cam Newton that, played in his last full season, then I think we have, a solid chance at 11 wins. If we get the Cam Newton that ended last season, with his injuries, and who knows what was behind that, but, it depends. If we get that Cam Newton, we might be in some trouble, and we might see Stidham earlier than we thought. But I think it's pretty easy to find 8 losses on that schedule. Like you mentioned a bunch of the games. You got KC, you got the Ravens, Seattle early on. We play the Cardinals with Kyler Murray and Hopkins. That's a game you could drop. You're thinking we probably drop one against the Bills, and maybe both of them. Who knows? That's 4 or 5 right there. And I'm not even sure about. I think we play the Texans. There's a lot of games that are toss-ups, and if we don't have Cam Newton playing at a decent level, we could be in some trouble. So I'd go 8-8 as our floor, and then 11 wins is probably our ceiling.
See, I disagree. I think that the floor with Cam, realistically, I think the floor this season could be as low as 5-11 or 6-10, because think about it. if we get the Cam that played towards the tail end of his years at Carolina, just overthrowing everybody, not making the plays, not as mobile as he usually is. The run game doesn't pan out like we think it will. You said Damian Harris is hurt. Sony Michel can't get things going with Danny Vitale opting out, not able to run out of the I formation. The receiving core.
I'm a fan of Sony Michel. I'm just going to throw that in there.
I am too. I think he'll be able to turn it on, but
I said I'm not a fan of him.
Oh, you're not? I am.
No.
I like Sony. If we can't get the receiving core going, like Anthony mentioned, it's a soft spot. The front seven is as big of a concern as it's been for us in recent memory.
Yeah.
And all it would take is one injury to that secondary, and it's rough. If Gilmore goes down, if one of the McCourties goes down, if J.C. Jackson goes down, that's a big hole. I know next man up mentality, but there's only so much you can do. But at the same time, if Sony Michel is able to turn it on like I think he will, if N'Keal Harry and Jacoby Myers can step up like so many of us think they will, if we get borderline MVP Cam Newton, the offensive line steps up, and if some of our young talent like Jawan Bentley, Josh Uche, all of them in the front seven step up and the secondary keeps doing their thing, we could easily go 12-4, 13-3. But I think that's a very high ceiling. I realistically, I think we'll go about 10-6, 11-5.
Yeah.
But I can see either way happening.
Yeah, you're right. And maybe I'm being too optimistic with 8-8 even, because I mean everything you said is true. If we get the Cam Newton of, the tail end of Cam Newton's Panthers career, we're in some serious trouble, because it's not like you can lean on the run game because our run game hasn't been that successful. It's not like you're like, oh, you have an elite defense, because our defense hasn't, is a big question mark as well. People can say all they want about what we had. We drafted rookies to replace. Like, no one's going to replace the guys that we lost, both to free agency and to, opting out. So, it's not going to be like last season where you have, a mediocre offense all year and you have that defense that literally saves you games. It's not going to be like that. So you're going to have some people step up, and you're probably right. It's definitely the most widespread margin of error right now. It's where you can, like you said, you can win, only 4 or 5 games, but if you get Cam Newton, 2 years ago or 2015 Cam Newton even, you can win 11, 12 games and take the division and compete, for a Super Bowl. But, one thing I'll say is that with the same situation as Brady, people always say, if you have Tom Brady, and people said it last year, you have Tom Brady, you can compete. I think the same should be said about Belichick in the same, sense of when you have Belichick as your coach, you can't count a team out. I think Belichick could coach any team and at least compete in games. I think he's that good of a coach. So that gives us a significant advantage. I think it's not just that. I think you can look at the roster and say that it may not translate to 11 or 12 wins, but, when you throw in the best coach of all time, that should give you a little bit more confidence that he'll work stuff out and he'll be able to, change up schemes and fix what was broken over the past 6 months.
Yeah, I'll agree with all that. I think it's going to come down to, if this team can stay healthy and if they can perform to their potential. You're looking at maybe like 11-5, I think, is the ceiling.
Yeah.
I'll put, and the floor's around 6-10 or 7-9. If everything goes wrong, I think Belichick can still coach this team, the next guy up kind of team to 6-10, 7-9. Like we went 11-5 with Matt Castle. So, anything's possible. I'm just, try to stay optimistic and hope they can go somewhere around 11-5, maybe compete for some kind of playoff wins or whatever. But expectations are not sky high.
And for them to go 11-5, they're going to have to win tough games because, like we've named a bunch of the, look, you have the 3 that are marked in the schedule are the Seahawks, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. You're theoretically marking those as losses, at least in my opinion. It's like if you're going to steal a Chiefs or Ravens or a Seahawks game, it's going to be a huge surprise, especially the Seahawks being this early on in the season. So then let's just say you have 3 there. You have the Bills twice, you have the Texans, you have the Cardinals, you have that the LA road trip where you have the Rams and the Chargers, and then you have, like you said, the Broncos, who are one of the more promising young teams. So I just named 7 games where they're going to be tough. So, it's not going to be some walk in the park like we usually see it as like, oh, well, the Chiefs, in the Ravens game, those 2 games are maybe our losses, but other than that, I think we
and the 49ers.
Yeah,
but no,
that too. Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's half our schedule roughly of like pretty tough games. So if we go 11-5, no matter what we do in the playoffs, honestly, that's a successful season, I think, because and Pat mentioned it earlier. If we're not going with Stidham for multiple reasons, and one of them's got to be that we don't think he's the future, and people can say all they want about what he did at Auburn and stuff, but right now, I don't think we should just because Stidham's on the Patriots doesn't mean, and what we saw in Garoppolo and what we've seen in Brissett doesn't mean he automatically is going to be the future of this team. And I think people are grasping on to every QB that gets drafted here, thinking they're going to be the next Tom Brady, and that's just not the case. And not many teams have that, where you just pick I'm not sure exactly where Stidham got drafted, but pick a later round QB and just slot him in, and all of a sudden, well, now you're a Super Bowl contender in 2 years. That just doesn't happen. It rarely happens. And we got lucky with Brady, and I think people are grasping on to, what happened with him and thinking that, drafting a QB, the first QB we draft, let's just start him and see how it goes. Like, you can't do that, especially being Belichick, wanting to win constantly and just being competitive every year. He certainly doesn't want to start a rookie just to start him.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's it. No more thoughts?
I do have a couple closing thoughts. So first of all, my new roommate in college is a gigantic Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, which is rough. Is very rough.
Is he from Tampa, or did he become a fan?
Yeah, he just opened the door up here. Leonard Fournette signing yesterday was bad for me. I saw my phone. I went, God motherfucking damn.
I've been wanting to use that the whole time. I know it.
I've been itching to use that bit the whole time. But Bucs are going to be so good, man. I don't know if they'll be able to beat out New Orleans for division, because they're still really good too. But that team is going to be so fun to watch. And then secondly, I've got a buddy, shameless plug. He's trying to make it big in the music game, so I'll put his link in the description whenever this goes up. Make sure to check him out.
Dope. I'll go ahead and get some closing thoughts too. Not NFL related, but my guy Russ finally came through in a Game 7. Just got to let everyone know that he helped them push through to the next round. Great game if whoever watched it. But yeah, I just got to throw that in there because I know all you guys are fuming, and all you were fuming when you saw that guy, shoot a good percentage and put up 20 in that game, and kind of carry them through with Robert Covington and Harden not shooting well. So just had to say that. Pat's hold on, I gotta clear something up. Pat's the only guy in here that knows how good Russ is. Anthony and Graham think Russ is some scrub.
No, don't say that.
No,
I didn't say scrub.
Educated.
Relax,
No.
buddy.
No,
he's no Kwame Brown.
I had people in that chat. I don't know if it's specifically you guys. Maybe I shouldn't call you guys out. People saying Jamal Murray is better than Russ. CP3 is better than Russ.
That's cap.
Both of those are cap. So I just had to. I don't know. I had to clear that up. I just want to give a little bit of respect. My guy finally won a Game 7. Finally advanced.
Yeah.
That whole
here's
narrative
the thing.
is washed.
Only thing I'll say. One, I still don't Russ taking jump shots at the end of a game.
Agreed.
And two, he was unquestionably the best player on that Rockets team in the Game 7, but he still didn't play all that great even by his standards. Like 20-9 is an average game for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I would agree, but considering he shot, I think it was 9 for 20, and he was 9 for 15, and then that stretch at the end where everybody
was throwing bricks.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, look, I think if you can get that from normally Harden doesn't shoot that poorly. If you can get that from Russ and he can average 20 and 9 on 47%,
yeah, it's decent.
I'm fine with that, man.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm just saying that if Russell Westbrook shoots 9 of 20 from the field, 20 and 9, and he's their best player in a 7-game series against the Lakers, that's a problem.
Oh, totally. Harden needs to be the better player. I agree.
And who's gonna guard them though? for the Lakers is what I'm
J.R. Smith.
Exactly.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. J.R. can lock them both down.
They're gonna have trouble with.
Yeah, it's a good note to end it on.
They're gonna have some trouble, I think. That'll be a good series, though. I think. I think I don't think it'll be a sweep. Everyone thinking that they're gonna sweep. I don't think it'll be a sweep, but
We will see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to say before we go off, last night's Celtics game, I went from way up here to way the fuck down here in a matter of minutes. I remember I was with my boys Ryan and Keith, and we were watching it, and Cardiac Chem was doing his thing, and he passes to Tice, picture perfect dunk. I'm like, oh my god, that play was beautiful. There's 0.5 seconds. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to get a shot off in 0.5 seconds. And I'm going nuts. I'm like, yeah, we're about to go 3 up on the fucking reigning champions. Let's go.
Oh, say less.
my boy was like, yo, I knew that was going to happen. I just didn't want to tell you. I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit. There's no way you thought that was happening.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you guys...
I was just so disappointed.
I don't know if you guys remember the Middleton shot that he had a couple years ago against us.
Yeah, that was half a second too against the first round.
And right before the shot happened, so like when they were calling the timeout, my brother goes, I don't like this. I was like, why? He's like, Middleton a couple years ago did the same thing. I was like, they're not getting a shot off in half a second. I was like, bro, they're not going to do it. And then, 20 seconds later, they did it. So, yeah, that was crazy.
Yikes.
Yeah. Oh.
It just pissed off Jason Tatum. That's all I got to say.
I hope so. He shot like 5 for 17. He's got to step up.
Yep.
If you want to be a top talent,
Devontae got snubbed
every night.
Devontae got snubbed.
I'm repping Kemba. Kemba had a great game last night. I feel bad.
Kemba too. Yeah.
All right, fellas. I have class in 5 minutes, so probably going to have to cut this pretty soon.
That wraps it up. Good return.
We're back. We got a new soundboard. I hope you guys heard all that because there were some gold sound effects in there during the show.
Oh, yeah. I'll cut them in.
Yeah. And see you next week.
Peace.
Deuces.